I was feeling a bit shit. But we went for a workout and jumped in the sea, and I literally, it felt like a brand new day. Do you know what I mean? I was like, the endorphin just enhanced my mood so much. It's crazy.
And the activity itself brings you out of yourself.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling shit...
And you're living in your head, which is what we talked about before.
Living in your head, exactly, closed off in your bedroom, maybe not speaking to anyone, ignoring your phone. As soon as you step out of that and you feel the wind, it sounds corny, but literally just get that fresh air, your brain is stimulated and it just brings you out of it just a little bit, you know?
This podcast is in memory of our friend Lee. After a long battle with depression, Lee took her own life. We started this podcast in the hopes that we can continue her advocacy for mental health, breaking the stigma of talking about struggles, and to hopefully help as many people as we can. We would love it if you would donate to Lee's GoFundMe, which will go towards the prevention of cyberbullying and helping others who are suffering with mental health.
Come on, mate, get your headphones on. Jesus, started the podcast.
There you go, it's just fitting around my hat.
What is happening, guys? Welcome back to the Brothers Podcast with myself, Craig Holmes, and this little guy. If you're watching on YouTube, you probably can't see him, James O'Hanlon.
That's a camouflage top joke, that is. Just dressing the part in it, Under Armour.
He's just
for today's subject.
Just floating head, drinking coffee.
Drinking coffee, very much like George Clooney. I was trying to be cool. I was trying to use the George Clooney joke.
Anyway, so if you're new here, the Brothers Podcast is a podcast where we discuss mental health issues we've had in the past, some dark times that we've struggled with and helped each other through. So if you're listening to this and you need a brother, then me and James are there for you.
Exactly.
That rhymed as well.
Did it?
A little bit.
We're a brother. We're there for you. No, it didn't.
Welcome back. So on the last episode we talked about anxiety, and on episode 1 we talked about snowballing. So if you've just found this one, it might be worth going back.
What? Last one was anxiety. What did you just say?
Keep up, that's what I said. Honestly, someone needs to turn this guy. Drink your coffee, mate. Get in the zone.
Which one's the tune? Is that the tune? That's
yeah,
the tune.
what, you want it to play, do you?
Yeah, I was just going to start the thing again. Oh, it doesn't matter.
There you go. Welcome back to the Brothers Podcast.
James, cool. Go. Where were you?
So first episode was about snowballing. Second episode was about anxiety.
That's right.
This episode is about self-care.
Well, it is about self-care, that's right. Because at first we were like, oh, let's talk about fitness and health and that and stuff. But then we were like, that's too, what if you don't want to?
Yeah.
What if you don't want to work out? What if you don't want to do exercise? Then we realised it's self-care. That's what it is. That's what it's about.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. Because fitness, it can be an aesthetic thing where people are like, I want to look good so I can, get a partner. But essentially, it's when you work out, you feel better, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. But just to clarify, we're also then going to talk about other self-care stuff. Like trimming your nose hair. That sort of stuff. Still to come.
Please subscribe.
Take it away, Craig. James is in a stupid mood today.
So yeah, we're talking about fitness. We've actually been quite good. We cancelled today, all right? But I'm injured. That's the only reason it got cancelled. I got a bad back.
We did go there as well. We went all the way down.
Went all the way down there. I tried to jog. It didn't happen. But for the last probably 2 months now, we've been regularly working out, haven't we?
We have.
A couple of times a week, 2 or 3 times a week, and we've been finishing our workouts with a dip in the sea, and it's been revolutionary for me, mate.
Fantastic. We have talked about the dipping in the sea briefly on the first episode.
Yeah, we mentioned it before, but I think what the cold water therapy, we'll call it that, it's basically just us diving in, going and then running back out. But what it's done for us is we're not cancelling workouts because we're excited to go purely for the adrenaline aspect of the cold water. And I think that's been a huge game changer because it's so easy if you've got anything like fitness wise lined up or a class. It's so easy to just go, I can't be bothered today. But because we've got that extra factor, we're like, we're fucking doing it.
And also, we've gone so long now without saying no or without sort of sacking it off that it's too far in now. Do you know what I mean? We'd be ruining a long streak.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So, not to brag, but we've been doing hill sprints and we upped it to 15 the other day. What do we do it in? About 12 minutes?
Yeah, easy.
Self-care, innit?
Self-care.
But it's been amazing because I was in a bit of a slump at the start of the year with the lockdown and stuff. And we just decided to start doing that. And for me, I think, and for both of us, fitness has been a basis for better mental health over the last 10 years, hasn't it? Because when going back to when you first started training, which is when we both started training together a few months after that, James and I have always been like quite slender. And I hadn't seen James for a while. And this was after we came back from traveling. And then I'd heard James had been training and I saw him and his head looked tiny because his body looked so massive. I was like, holy shit, you look huge.
I remember a couple of months in, saw my nan. She popped into the restaurant I was working in and she was like, God, your neck's massive or something.
Always a good compliment from your nan, isn't it? Thanks, Nan. Got a massive neck. But yeah, I was so impressed that you'd done it because I'd always read online, like because I was always skinny, I was always self-conscious, and I'd always wanted to try and gain weight. And you know, you read online, it's like you have to eat 50 meals a day and all this stuff. But then seeing you as like a friend, I was like, whoa, it can be done. So we started training together, and you told me what to eat and stuff. And then I just think from there, we kind of grew a lot of self-confidence through training. And I think that's another thing that it does for you, isn't it? It's not just you get the endorphins. You feel good about yourself when you're doing it, you know?
Yeah, you look sexy as fuck.
Exactly.
Yeah, nice. No, but it was always a confidence thing for me. That's why I always wanted to do it. Because I always felt like, I don't know if this sounds weird, but like in school and, well, after school, I suppose, but when you're a really young adult, and then maybe you go to the pub with your friends and that, but I never really felt like a man. Do you know what I mean? I didn't feel very manly or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? And you know, you got all these fellas who've been scaffolding and stuff, do you know what I mean? And they were like proper men, do you know what I mean? And
the local scaffolders.
And I just didn't feel that way. And I think wanting to be bigger, wanting to be more muscly was a big part of that for me. I wanted to feel a bit more. And as soon as I did get bigger, I did. I felt, you know, people, I was parting crowds like the Red Sea. With fear. No,
you were in that.
I literally wasn't. No, I wasn't at all. But yeah, and that's what it was about for me. And I always, like you said about you didn't really think it was possible for someone to do. That's what I used to feel like. I always used to admire Arnold Schwarzenegger. Obviously, it sounds typical or sort of thing, but it was the case. And because I grew up loving his movies and stuff. And but I always used to think sort of like I never really thought of their bodies as like something a real person can have. It was kind of like these fake people, these not fake people, but these imaginary people, these celebrities that don't exist in the real world as we know it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then as soon as I did start gaining weight, and I did go like ham, I went like from 0 to 100. I was like heaving because I was force feeding food to myself so much. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I remember sitting at the end of my bed, living with my mum, sitting at the end of the bed, TV's at the end of the bed as well, just sitting there eating my chicken and rice, and I was literally just going and just heaving because I was just like, gotta finish this meal. There's another one in 2 hours time. Do you know what I mean? It was literally like that. But yeah, and then I started making progress and seeing muscles, and I was like, oh my god, this is real. This is possible. Yeah. And it just and that's where it all came from. Then I just loved it.
I think with fitness is when you start seeing the results is when you feel like you get the bug for it then. Do you know what I mean? But I think for us, like it was, both, it was a confidence thing. And I noticed as well when I started putting on weight, because back then I think I was up to like 13 stone or something at my heaviest, and people were noticing and they were like, fucking hell, what are you doing? Do you know what I mean? I'd be down the pub and guys would be coming up to me I hadn't seen for years. We're going, bloody hell, look at your guns. I'm like, I was loving it. Do you know what I mean? Because I felt so confident and getting that, you know, and it's not, it was just a proper confidence boost.
I think it kind of gave me an identity in a way as well.
Yeah.
I didn't know what my thing was. Do you know what I mean? I was just a generic, skinny, young man. Do you know what I mean?
You were on a scaffolder.
No, I wasn't a scaffolder. No, exactly. I hadn't found my calling sort of thing. And like, it sounds like I'm slagging off scaffolds. Yeah? I'm not. It's just, I wish I was as manly as you guys.
You wanted to be as strong as a scaffolder.
They got they've never trained forearms in their life. Never picked up a dumbbell to train their forearms, but their forearms, do you know what I mean? Like as big as your thigh. Do you know what I mean? Like Popeye.
Is this what you Google in your spare time? Scaffolders forearms.
I got a calendar. I don't need to Google. What was I saying? I got distracted by this calendar now. Ridiculous idea.
About it giving you an identity.
Oh, it gave me an identity, yeah. So, like, that was my thing. And like you said, I saw people then and that I hadn't seen ages, and they'd be like, bloody hell, saying the same sort of stuff, you know? And then I was kind of like, yeah, cool, this is me. Do you know what I mean? I was getting sort of some sort of appreciation and an identity. That's who I was. And then I think people did come to know me as like the bodybuilder or something like that, even though I wasn't a bodybuilder in that sense. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't one of these huge, freaky guys. But yeah, it was just kind of, James does this now, do you know what I mean? That's what James looks like. And then people would be like, oh, he's got a six-pack under there. And I'd be like, I haven't. But they just thought I had. Do you know what I mean? Even when I didn't have one, they just think I was, because that's what I was then. But yeah, it gave me a hell of a lot of confidence, that did. And I think that was a lot of what helped me do these social, what I call comfort zone challenges. You know, I said about where lying on the floor and stuff. I think all that came in together. Do you know what I mean? Like having the confidence physically and then going out there and not worrying about what people thought, or if they did. I was just like, yeah, well, this is me now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The thing I loved about when you were training, because like we ended up working in the bank together, and so we would work 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, and we would go straight from work to the gym, and we were training like probably 4 days a week, weren't we? And we were so into it. And what we're going to go on to later in this podcast is like self-care, but like extremes. And I think that the one thing with me and you is we've got addictive personalities. So we don't just train. We're like, we're going to be in the Olympics.
In my head, I was like, I'm going to be the best the world's ever seen.
yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think, we'll come on to this later about setting realistic goals that aren't going to put you under pressure and make you feel shit if you don't do them. But what I loved about you is, like, when we were in the bank, we sort of mentioned bodybuilding shows, and a friend of ours, Liam, me and Liam, which said to James, we were like, you should enter a show 100%. And James was like, fuck off, I'm not going to do that. Like, instantly nervous. But then you did it. You put yourself in and entered. And your first show, you came second.
Yeah, that was good.
Out of like how many people? It was like,
I don't know, it was a fair few,
I think. 30 people or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. All downhill from there, obviously. But still riding that. I'm like the has-been. I was like, I came second once, first show.
Yeah, but like, it was so cool just seeing you on stage, and you bossed it as well. And you could see that how far you'd come with the confidence, because you were in incredible shape. You were so cut and everything. And now we're back here, just starting again.
Yeah, that's what I feel like now. Because lockdown, everyone has been affected, like weight-wise, I'm sure, fitness-wise, because gym's closed, obviously, but also being at home all the time, eating and stuff like that. I think there's very few people that have managed to make it through without gaining some weight and stuff.
Yeah,
and now for the first time in my life, I'm at a place where I'm like leaning over or crouching over, and I can feel these ripples of fat on my stomach, and it's wobbling and it's restricting. Like, I want to lean over and I can feel this just block of fat that stops me moving. Do you know what I mean? And that's the first time I've really felt like, I think I was a bit bigger when I first started bodybuilding, but at least I was gaining the muscle at the same time. But so I've really hated that. And now I'm really feeling that struggle that I think a lot of my clients have felt when I've trained them, where they feel like they're just not making progress. And I'm feeling that sort of slow grind of like, it is coming off, but you just got to not expect it to get a 6-pack or even a 2-pack within 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a process, isn't it?
And I think
and
it's a long one too.
But the good thing is, mate, you're doing it. Do you know, we were both training together, and it one thing that I would say is, like, whether you're going to do anything, it could be something simple like start yoga or going for walks. It's so handy to have someone to do it with, because if you're on your own, it's so hard to like get in the zone on your own, and you can share the experience then, do you know what I mean, with the cold water stuff. Like, it just wouldn't be fun on your own.
You wouldn't be able to laugh.
You'd look like a mentalist, like going in the water screaming on your own. People would be calling the police. So yeah, it's been great, because we've sort of crossed paths over the years. Like, you've been away, I've been away, but we've always tried to train together, and whenever we do, it's great fun, isn't it?
Yes, and what I really liked about this time around was I knew I needed to get back into exercising because of lockdown and the gyms being closed. I kept thinking I'd work out at home, but realistically, like a lot of us probably, I didn't. You know, and that's why I gained weight, and I felt weak and lazy, and I've never felt like that weak, sort of, compared to what I used to be like lifting weights and stuff. So I needed to get started, but I had needed to get started or wanted to get started for probably months, and then I just wasn't really doing anything. One every now and then, one a month, one every 2 months. But then when we decided to go doing the sprints, we didn't set it as like this, right, we got to get on it now. Monday I'm starting, nothing but lettuce on carrots. You know what I mean? Like just straight training every week. But it wasn't like that. And we literally just said, let's go and do some sprints.
Yeah.
Did it, enjoyed it. And we were like, oh, and then you made us go for a dip because I mean, I think you said bring bathers, but I was always a bit like, oh, I don't want to do that. Because I never like cold water. Now I love it. I fucking love it. I can't wait. But that was it. There was no pressure. It was just doing that one session. That's all I had to do.
Yeah.
And then we loved it so much. We were like, oh, let's do it. We should do this again next week. And then we did. And we did it Wednesday. And then before you know it, we were adding in another workout at the end of the week, beginning of the week. And now we've been going for, you know, I don't know how long, but it's about 2 months or so or something like that. And it's been great. And that's what I loved about it was a steady build to enjoying it again and a routine of doing it again.
Yeah.
Because that's where I was struggling before. I always, like you said, you want to go 100%, maybe addictive personality. I know everyone thinks like, I want to get training, I want to get fit, right? That's it. I'm starting Monday. No, none of the bad food. You know what I mean? I'm going to change my diet. I'm going to start working out Monday. But the problem with that is you're trying to make so many changes to your lifestyle all on the same day. It's never going to stick because it's going to feel so demanding, so alien to you. Do you know what I mean? It's just not going to work like that. So I never like it when people are like, I'll wait for Monday. Because also I remember an Instagram or something ages ago saying it about like, if you really want to do it and if you're really going to do it, why are you waiting for Monday?
Yeah.
What's Monday? Do you know what I mean? Do it right now or do it tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Like
exactly,
you just, all you're doing is telling yourself, I can put it off for a bit longer, but not so far away that I'm like, yeah, I will do it Monday. Do you know what I mean? Because it's only in 2 days' time. Do you know what I mean? But really, you clearly maybe don't want it enough, maybe. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Unless it works for your routine because you've got to go to the gym on Mondays and you can't on the weekend. I don't know. But yeah, that was what made it so good, is that it wasn't too much too soon. And I think everybody does too much too soon.
Yeah, and it's the same with like these fad diets and diets just in general. You should never have to diet. It should always be part of your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because I think people jump in, they cut out all the foods they like, and then all of a sudden they're just living this hell every day because they're not getting any sort of enjoyment.
Yeah.
And then you just bounce back then and it goes tenfold the other way. So yeah, I think if you're going to do anything, it's a good idea to just start off slow and just implement one thing. Yeah. You know, you could start with walks.
That's what I was going to say. Just go for some walks this week.
Because most phones these days have got step counters as well, so you don't even have to buy anything. Yeah. Just go for a walk and check your steps on that. Try and do 10,000 a day.
While you're walking, if you fancy it, whether you're walking along roads with lampposts or whatever, or paths with trees, just tell yourself, I'm going to jog from this tree to that tree or this lamppost to that lamppost, and then I'm going to start walking again. You know, it's just something to make you get moving. And before you know it, you might be like, you know what, I'm going to run the whole way. Yeah. And then when you're doing that, you're like, oh, I want to start picking up some weights now. You know, not that you have to do that. I'm just saying it'll all lead on, you know.
Yeah, because it becomes like the endorphins are addictive. That's the best part about it. And they're not, it's not bad. You know, a lot of things you get addicted to are bad, but endorphins are good. Do you know what I mean? And like we had a bit of a slow week this week, me and Amy. So I was feeling a bit shit. But we went for a workout and jumped in the sea, and it felt like a brand new day. Do you know what I mean? I was like, the endorphin just enhanced my mood so much. It's crazy.
And the activity itself brings you out of yourself. Yeah. So if you're feeling shit,
and you're living in your head, which is what we talked about before.
Living in your head, exactly, closed off in your bedroom, maybe not speaking to anyone, ignoring your phone, just, you know, zoning out watching episodes of The Office on repeat. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, like, as soon as you step out of that and you feel the wind, it sounds corny, but literally just get that fresh air, your brain is stimulated and it just brings you out of it just a little bit, you know?
100%.
And so it is hard sometimes to make that effort, but that's what it is, it's effort, you know what I mean? If it wasn't going to have a difference, if it wasn't going to be worth it, it would be probably easier to do it, do you know what I mean? But you've got to make that little bit of a push to make that difference.
And I think stripping it back even further, like if you're in a place where like you're like, I can't get out of bed, I think starting with the self-care of just looking after yourself. And one thing that we always say and talk about is just having a shower. Even if it's like the middle of the afternoon, you've been in bed all day, or you just can't get up and have a shower. Because like shower thoughts, they're always a bit more positive, I feel like, because you're washing yourself. Do you know what I mean? You like, I feel like you're just getting rid of the day, the dirt of the day. Do you know what I mean? And you just always feel much better after you've had a wash. You smell better, you feel a bit more...
And you're doing an activity, I think.
Yeah.
If you're using the soap, you got to rub yourself, whatever, all this sort of stuff. You're doing something. You have to do, you know what I mean? It's an effort that you're making. And I think that's what's making the difference as well. Instead of literally laying there almost paralyzed with just despair. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I feel like once you do that, then you get dressed and you because you feel a bit more presentable, you're like, right, what can I do next? Chances are you're not going to get back into bed after that. So yeah, I think it's just the whole look good to feel good. If you're like a bit disheveled and you stink, do you know what I mean? You're going to feel worse anyway. Yeah.
And it's not about looking good for other people and caring about what other people think.
It's purely for yourself.
It's a bit of self-respect. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit of just self-care and just having the decency to do okay by yourself. Do you know what I mean? And not feel shit about yourself further.
And I think it's like, if you had a friend you were looking after, how would you treat him? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you were telling that friend to stay in bed and wallow, you're not being a very good friend.
That wouldn't be the answer.
Yeah. But if you're telling that friend, get up and have a shower, let's go and do something, that's essentially what you're doing for yourself.
Yeah. Even if, like, a lot of the time, I remember a common routine in Hong Kong for me was that I would stay in the dark room or just have a little lamp on, whatever, and I'd be watching movies, and I wouldn't even watch movies. I'd just lay in bed and cry and just be crap. Do you know what I mean? And that would be my day, and maybe it'd be a couple of days, and then a shower was always the first thing. When I finally felt like I was all cried out, or if I felt like I was like almost bored of being pathetic, you know what I mean? Just lying there, just feeling like useless. The shower would always be the easiest first thing. I think I'm going to go and have a shower, and I would just shower, and I'd come out of the shower then thinking, okay, yeah, I'm going to put a bit of Netflix on now, and I'm going to eat some food. And I hadn't eaten food all day, maybe. Do you know what I mean? And then I'd scoff a load of food once I start eating. I got an appetite then, and then I want to eat more. And then I go, maybe then I pop to the shop because I want more food, whatever. But the point is that it would always be the shower would be the first thing that would sort of get me rolling, whether I went out or not. It would then lead on to the food and maybe just sitting up in my bed instead of laying down in my bed. Do you know what I mean? Being on top of the quilt, not being under the quilt. You know what I mean? That's if you've got nowhere else to sit. I just didn't have anywhere else to sit apart from on my bed,
Yeah.
Don't even think of it as just like, oh, but I don't want to shower or I don't smell. Just think of all these things as routines and just steps to just take. Do you know what I mean? Almost think of it as, like we said, about doing the opposite to what you feel you want to do.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I almost think you don't know best, so don't listen to yourself. Do you know what I mean? Because in those moments, you don't know best,
So there's this quote, which I found the other day, which I thought was incredible. I'm probably going to butcher his name, so apologies. But Eliud Kipchoge, who's the only guy on planet who's run a sub 2-hour marathon.
What is that? Oh, sub as in... Is it? Oh, right, that's fast.
He literally did it in like 1 hour, 59 minutes and like 52 seconds or something.
Jeez.
But his quote is, only the disciplined ones in life are free. If you are undisciplined, you are a slave to your moods and your passions. And I thought that was so powerful because, if you are, like you were saying, like your brain's going to tell you the easiest route and you're laying in bed, then you are a slave to that. Your brain's like, well, this is what we're doing. And then you just feel shit because you've chosen the easier option. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you have a little bit of discipline, even if it's just taking that shower, then it just takes you down that path to having a more productive day. Do you know what I mean?
And I think not just being easy, but the most comfortable choice or the most comfortable options. Because like we talked about before, about feeling down and kind of almost like comfortable and almost wanting to feel down or make it a little bit worse or stay in it a bit longer so you feel justified. Do you know what I mean? These sort of things. So going for a workout or even go for a walk, whatever it might be, it's not necessarily comfortable. Do you know what I mean? Because you're trying to force your body to change, not just your body as in physically, I mean like mentally as well. You know what I mean? You're trying to force change in your whole person. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and change will take a bit of effort. It will not just happen. Yeah.
So what are the self-care tips have you got, mate, or things that you do that makes your life better or makes you feel better?
Something I don't do all the time, but I do try to make the effort, is also, I mean, just with clothes, just trying to, because I don't buy many clothes. I might have quite a few things hanging in the wardrobe, wherever, but I literally stick to this little section. Do you know what I mean? I just, this black hoodie will do, same shot. It's comfortable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But sometimes I find that being in those same clothes or whatever, I change my pants, just to clarify.
good to know.
But wearing the same shorts or whatever, because like I was always someone who, I always remember...
Smelly. It's just a smelly guy.
No,
One of those smelly
not
guys.
smelly, but I was always the type of person who'd be like, I'd rather be comfortable than smart, or I don't care if, whatever, I don't care what other people think. I'd rather be comfortable. Do you know what I mean? And it's almost like when you hear about the guy when he hits like middle age or 50s or something, and he's like, oh, he just wears joggers now. Do you know what I mean? He's just going for comfort. I feel like that happened to me like early on in life, and I was always like turning up to like little events and stuff, but I'd be very dressed down. Do you know what I mean? And
nothing wrong with that though.
I suppose not. I suppose I'm being myself. But at the same time, I couldn't help but feel like it was kind of because I was a bit like just not making the effort.
Anti-establishment.
Well, that as well, but also because, that it was probably a bit. I was like, well, why should I have
police,
to?
I'm just going to wear my joggers.
Yeah, why are you better at a job than me just because you can wear a tie? You know what I mean? I mean, I can wear a tie. I just don't want to. But like, anyway, but no, that as well. But also I think it was a byproduct of being down and just not wanting to make these efforts and feeling almost resentful then that I think I should have to put on jeans and not walk around in underwear, but I mean, not have to wear my shorts or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something comfortable. So I think trying to make an effort when I can to, even now I still have to try and force myself to make a bit of an effort just to look a bit tidier. Not saying that you have to look tidy. You can literally dress any way you want.
What happened today then?
Yeah, well, I'm going to speak again.
I'm only joking, mate.
No, but this is my workout stuff, yeah? But no, okay, and them, you probably notice they're the same every time.
Oh,
Give
every
them a
time,
wash, but they're the same, yeah. Don't need the extra
Or
ones.
you like Homer Simpson?
All the same wardrobe. Yeah. It pretty much is.
All brand new, but it just rotates.
My friend would say that in Hong Kong. I used to have like all black t-shirts, but they had slight differences. There was a slight difference.
Little lower hem.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, something like that, So yeah, I think not doing it for someone else, but just making a little effort just for yourself to just feel...
Thanks, Cockwan.
Nice, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because I think it does help self-confidence.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
And I think that's part of feeling good is self-confidence and self-belief and self-worth and all that,
And it does, like, because the other day, I literally hadn't put a shirt on for ages. And I put a shirt...
You mean a shirt or just a top? You haven't put any sort of top on. You've just been topless.
No, like
for
a
days.
shirt.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Just walking around topless in my house.
That's what I do all the time. Do you? Yeah, shorts only. No boxers, no socks, no top. Always. Bare minimum clothing.
Fucking heating must be cranked in your house.
Because I'm always hot. All during winter as well, the window's been open during the night.
Yeah.
I know.
Anyway, but I put my shirt on. And Amy was like, oh, you look smart. And I was like, oh, thanks, babe. Do you know what I mean? So Amy noticed and I felt better. And just because I made a little effort to put a shirt on.
Yeah. Why did you put a shirt on though?
Well, it was a cocktail night. We had a cocktail night.
I see.
Amy showed up in her PJs. So, if I stick to my morning routine, I feel amazing. He's like, fucking morning routine wanker.
No.
But yeah, I tend to get up, do a bit of yoga and do meditation. And for me...
I'm joking. Meditation's great.
For me, that works wonders. And also, like, I try and practice gratitude as well. And if you've never done it before, you basically just write down a list of 10 things that you're grateful for. And it could be big things, small things, like some of mine are like, I'm grateful for coffee in the morning. Do you know what I mean? Because then you appreciate the coffee. And it's all about like, increasing your vibration. Like when you're happy, you vibrate higher and you feel better. So I think all of those things add up. So I write out the 10 things. And then when I read them back, I'm like buzzing. I'm like, I'm so lucky. Do you know what I mean? I've got a great girlfriend. I got a cup of coffee. I got space up here to do yoga. Do you know what I mean? And all those things add up then. So, and what tends to happen, like when we talked about in episode 1 with snowboarding, is you get on that negative train and you just go down that path. But when I start my day with the gratitude, it takes me the other way. So I'm like, this is going to be a good day. Do you know what I mean? I'm setting myself up to win. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes I don't do it. And this is what I was saying in the beginning about when you have a routine, it's so easy to beat yourself up when you don't do it. And that's the sort of negative side of it is I can be on a routine for 6 months, and then if I slip, I really beat myself up about it. So what I've tried to do is have a routine. If I don't do it, then it's not the end of the world, and I try not to beat myself up about it. But yeah, if you've not tried it, I know we mentioned this before as well, but meditation is a game changer. If you can do it frequently, because it's not like, it's a bit like fitness. You're training your brain. You can't just do one press up and expect to, have a big chest or go for a run and expect to be fit. You've got to keep at it. And I've had some crazy moments with meditation where I've literally just felt like I've gone to another planet of just silence and a quiet mind. And I don't know if you've ever experienced it with your meditation, but
I've had one or two occasions, where I just sort of totally lost track of time.
Yeah.
It's just like gone, and then I sort of woke up, or not woke up like I'd fallen asleep, but
yeah,
it was lost for a little while.
Like some of mine, I've only had it a few times, but when you go to that place and it's just pure bliss, there's nothingness, and it feels like it could have been 3 days. Do you know what I mean? And you wake up and you're like, whoa, it's like a trip. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, if you do it and you do it consistently, meditation is a game changer. I really feel like it can change people's lives for sure.
I think a routine, whether it's a morning routine or whatever, is a really helpful thing to just apply a little self-care. Because like working out, I think us doing our sprints and dip, we did in the beginning do one sometimes in the evening, but now it's just become a morning thing and a first thing in the morning thing. Sometimes maybe a tiny bit earlier than you might feel like doing the night before, but once you're there, it's great. And I think having that bit of routine and that structure helps you then flow onto the next thing and the next thing. And then by the time you've, like my routine generally would be only for the first until midday. Like it's not a solid routine, but it's, maybe we do this little exercise, go for breakfast, or as in go home, get breakfast or have the shower. And then I just keep going through these things of making sure I sort of take care of myself in that sense. Because then by the time I'm dressed and I'm done, I feel good about myself, and I feel good in general, and I feel quite accomplished with what I've done already, So then if I fancy popping on the PlayStation, I do it happily. I don't do it in like, what am I going to do in my day? I'm just going to sit on the PlayStation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to have a routine for the whole day either. It's just, but I find that just having that initial routine at the times when you feel most susceptible to feeling down, and I think waking up first thing in the morning, I don't know why it is, but you just wake up and you just straight away you're just like, oh well, today's not a good day. Do you know what I mean? And I don't even know why, because you've hardly had a chance to do anything. You haven't even seen the daylight, maybe,
Yeah, and that's sorry to cut in, but okay. That's where for me, like I said this before, the 5-second rule. Count down from 5. You get up, you literally trick your brain into talking yourself out of getting up, and then you're into it. Then I wash my face, brush my teeth, I have a glass of water, I'm up. Then I do the yoga and I'm into it. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to, on days where, I don't do it all the time. And then on days where I don't, I feel dreadful because you overthink the day. You sit there, Thursday's going to be a shit day. You think about all the jobs you've got to do. And
you end up not eating.
Yeah.
You end up not doing it. Yeah. And it just goes from there. So yeah, I think having a little routine can help in a lot of these situations.
Yeah.
And especially if it comes to maybe doing a bit of fitness or going for a walk. Yeah, that's something. And while you were saying it then about having a drink of water, talking about self-care, we're both big advocates of water, aren't we?
Amy hates it when I talk about water. I'm like, have you hydrated today? Yeah. But you've got to drink loads of water because it'll make you feel more awake. It cleans your body out. There's just so many benefits.
Water is, I think, it's
life.
It is like, honestly, like as soon as someone says to me like something's wrong, I'm like, how much water you drank today?
The same.
The first thing I say
Amy's
every
like,
time.
fuck off.
Yeah, but I think I'm doing that because I'm coming from a place where I know I've drank water, and when you do something so often, whatever it might be, you're then like able to, on the day, say you don't do a particular thing, you're able to see, you've got a better idea of what might be happening because of it, and what might be not be happening, what might be happening because you didn't have it, sort of thing. And it's the same with food. Like, I've spent so long over the years looking at my food and nutrition and this sort of stuff that now I know what sort of foods have these certain effects or hurt my body or don't do me good, that sort of thing. And I think that's the thing with water. I've always drank so much water, and I notice the difference then on times when I think I don't. Do you know what I mean? I can notice maybe the tickle in my throat, and it's like, oh, my body wants to get a flu and stuff, because I never get it as well. That's another thing. I never get a flu. I never get colds. And And I think, but as soon as I do feel these little tickles in my throat or something, and I think, oh, maybe my body's trying to get a cold, I know I haven't drank enough water. I know it. And then I'll smash the water. Fine. And I never get colds now. And I mean, that might just be me. I might have better immune system there, but...
Doctor's going like, I'm so ill. I've got the flu. He's going, how much water have you drank?
Yeah, literally, yeah. But no, water is incredible, I think, because it hydrates your muscles, it hydrates your mind. Everything in your body needs to... It's a machine. Do you know what I mean? And water is going to keep it functioning, I think, properly.
Yeah.
Obviously, food and all that as well. But there's a reason you can last so long without any food. You know, like, what is it, like 3 weeks or something?
Yeah.
But you can only last 3 days or something with no water.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't that tell people, like, the difference in food and water, how important water must be? If you can't go 3 days without it, your body will be dead.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
your body will be dead.
Everything will be dead. Like, doesn't that tell you how important water is?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, so you said about drinking water in the morning. One of my first routines is, well, I normally take a pint of water to bed with me, just in case. Normally, I used to drink a lot too much, I think. I used to down a water before bed, pint of water. I'd have a pint of water or two during the night, and I'd be up peeing all the time. But I've sort of tried to... I've weaned it down now, and so I sleep better and things like this. But the water's there ready for me. When I wake up in the morning, then there's a pint straight down the gullet. Do you know what I mean? And something I've told clients, which they've adopted, is because I think now I can drink water quite fast, sort of thing. You know, I'm showing off, but like
show off, mate. Come on.
But like something I told clients is when you wake up, take 10 gulps or 10 glugs, whatever you want to call them, of water. So even if your gulps are smaller and you don't have a whole pint, do you know what I mean? Whatever. But just do 10. Just count 10 first thing when you wake up. Because then you get a nice big chunk of water in you. And especially if you're not someone who drinks all day long and you sort of spread it out a bit. But if you don't think you drink enough water, try that. Try just taking 10 gulps when you wake up.
There you go.
See how you go. But yeah, honestly, water. Fucking H2O, boy. H2O, give it. There we go. H2O.
I used to, when I sort of hung around with you a lot more, like when we first started traveling in Australia, I don't know what I used to drink. I think I used to just drink pop. Do you know what I mean? I'd drink Coke or...
Yeah.
I was never a massive fan.
Though, yeah.
But like, I saw you and like you'd get a McDonald's or whatever and you'd get a water. Yeah. Like, what a weirdo. And like, James used to just drink so much water, and I never used to drink as much until I met you. And then we used to nick all the bottles of water from the place we used to work. We used to literally like take a bottle at a time. In the end, we just ended up taking crates from the shop we worked in and putting them under our bed in the hostel.
Terrible, absolute thieving little bastards. But I remember because you always used to call me Bobby Boucher as well.
The water boy.
The water boy, yeah. H2O, is it?
It's so true. What else you got, mate? You got anything?
Well, I was going to say in general how the routine, and all the other things as well, but I was more thinking about when it came to doing fitness and stuff. What was great about that, I think, and definitely helped towards the self-care, was it gave my thoughts and my day, in a way, a bit of direction.
Yeah, good
Not
shout.
just direction, but a bit of not distraction, you shouldn't call it that, but...
Like a goal.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like my mind was...
A focus.
If you're a focus, because if you've got nothing to focus on, then you might start thinking about the most prevalent, dominant thoughts that generally are in your mind. Do you know what I mean? So if you're not doing anything, those things are probably what you're going to go towards. And I know I do.
Yeah.
As soon as something's not right, or as soon as I'm bored, I start thinking, fucking life. You know what I mean? And I'm just bored. Do you know what I mean? But straight away, I've got nothing to do and my mind just can quickly go wrong. So whatever fitness it is you want to do, I think people tend to think a bit too much as well when I talk about progress, about aesthetic progress, you know? And it's not all about that. It's not. And like when you're doing yoga, and I've definitely noticed this myself, is at first you feel so clumsy, so tight, but literally just after a couple of sessions, you start to notice how like, oh, this move is a lot easier now, or do you know what I mean? Things can flow a bit better, and that's progress too, you know, becoming more capable at doing the exercise, you know, like jogging for you might just feel horrible. It might just feel clumpy and bumpy, you know what I mean? I don't know why I say clumpy and bumpy, that sounds weird, but you know what I mean?
Like an
really,
old car.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? But then you just, as you progress and you loosen up, that's progress too. So anyway, what I was trying to say is when you're making that progress, you then start to focus on other things where you can improve as well. Like you might focus on nutrition then and stuff, you know? And all these things then add up. And before you know it, you've got so many things that you're kind of thinking about or focusing on. Maybe you are paying more attention to your food, and maybe you want to weigh out your porridge. You know, you don't have to weigh your food or anything like that, but maybe you want to start taking note of these things or writing down, making a little food diary. And these things are going to take up your day. You know what I mean? These are gonna, not take up your day like you need to use it up, but I mean, it's going to take up your thought process, you know?
Yeah.
So you haven't got as much time to focus on the bad things. And it doesn't matter then if you, every now and then, you are still falling into the bad things, maybe during the day. The point is that you haven't got enough time of the day where you're focused on the bad things, that the bad things build up too much. Do you know what I mean? Because they're broken up by these other routines.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's spot on what you said. You know, it gives you a focus. And I think for me, especially when I started training with you, I was in a really bad place back then. That was when I was working in Wagamama's. So my only sort of escape really was fitness, because I was working this job that I hated. You know, we were in the crash where I crashed into the back of that guy and wrote my car off. But during all of that, I was training, and that was my only sort of focus, positive focus. Do you know what I mean? And I was making progress. So, and the best thing about it is, you never really fall behind with fitness. Do you know what I mean? You can only get better. So if you train and you train again, you're better that day than you were the day before. Do you know what I mean? And it's always a progressive thing.
The only reason you wouldn't is if you didn't make the effort to go through with it. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think the pair of us would, you know, recommend fitness and just getting out there, moving your body if you can. If you feel like going for a walk and just want to start there, then just start with that. But just, you know, get those endorphins going.
Yeah. And if you need any tips, James O'Hanlon's got a YouTube channel that he used to do. That's dead in the water. It's gone. But there might be some information on it. Seriously, some home workouts or something. Yeah. There are some home workout videos, so you can look at that.
I have got a funny story from when we used to train, and talking about like addictive personalities and like going for it. So when me and James were training, we would be like in the office all day or whatever, and there'd be moments where, like, I don't know if we were both trying to cut, like when we say cut, you know, cutting down on carbohydrates so that you like get more lean. I remember one day,
not that you have to do it that way.
Huh?
Not that you have to do it that way. That's just what we thought at the time.
That's what we thought. Yeah.
Hit me up on Instagram. No, I don't even do that anymore.
But anyway, I had a hot chocolate, and James was fucking raging.
I wasn't raging.
He was pathetic. Give me a stinking look. He was like I'd failed. Yeah, like I wasn't going to make the team. I was like, bloody hell.
But I was, but why?
I'm sat there just really guiltily sipping my hot chocolate. Like, don't judge me.
Yeah, that was it. I went all in.
But it was good in a way, because I never missed a training session, and he kept me on my, you know, on my A game with my nutrition. Apart from that day, I never had a hot chocolate again after that.
Scarred for life. Oh yeah, but you don't have to go full on like that. Do you know what I mean? It turned into like a job and everything for me in a way. Do you know what I mean? Training people. So like, but yeah, so you don't have to, obviously you don't have to stop having hot chocolate. Do you know what I mean? But I think, you know, something we haven't really talked about, I think, is nutrition as well, and food. And I think, I know that is a huge factor in the way my head works as well, do you know what I mean? And my moods and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't want to get bogged down in nutrition and stuff, but I think it does have, it's important, and it has its place. Yeah. And I think it's something that's worth looking at, especially if you are in a routine where you're not happy and you spend a lot of time maybe not making efforts to do stuff, staying at home or staying in bed, whatever, these sort of things. It's more than likely that your last thing you're thinking about is the nutrition or the value of something you're putting in your mouth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think they make the difference. You know, if you're eating junk food all the time, it will bring you down.
Yeah, there's like a direct correlation between the food you eat and the moods you're in.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're going to sit around and eat pizza and takeaway, you're going to feel shit. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
And not just feel shit because you're eating because of sort of society's view on those foods, and it means you're not making an effort.
Yeah.
But also because of what they actually do to your body and to your mind, you know, and the way your sugar spikes and crashes, leaving you feeling tired or energyless. Because all this food, it's quite crap for your body. So your body it is, like I said earlier, it's a machine. I always used to think like a car needing petrol. If you're not giving this machine what it really needs or the things that it works best with, it's not going to perform very well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you're going to be left with issues. Do you know what I mean? You're going to be left with, your head not feeling right, maybe your body not feeling right, maybe you don't feel physically comfortable enough to do exercise. But for example, eating junk food, it's a fact that it causes inflammation because of the shit in there, you know what I mean? The whatever's in it, the salts and the fats and all this, it causes inflammation, which is around your joints and stuff. So then maybe you got bad knees and bad joints and stuff, and it could be because you're just not eating a good enough diet. And then you don't end up doing the exercise, and you don't do the exercise because you think, oh, but I got a bad knee, I got this, but do you know what I mean? Until you've really made the efforts to know, like if you tell me, do you know what, I've eaten so healthy for the last month, and my knee still, still get this inflammation, then yeah, okay, fair enough, maybe it's something else, but give it a shot first,
It's all those hot chocolates, mate. You've been drinking too many hot chocolates.
Dickheads, I know.
But yeah, you're right, because, if you think about it, if you're getting loads of nutrition, good nutrition, you're eating loads of fresh fruit and veg, all the good fats, nuts, and all the stuff that you need, you're going to feel so much better about yourself. And even if it's, we were saying before, if you're not into getting fitness going, you don't want to even start by walking. Start with what you're eating.
Yeah.
And chances are, if you're feeling shit and you're eating shit, it's going to make things 10 times worse. But if you just change it up a little bit, it's all going back to the same thing, which is self-care. Like, take care of your body. Do you know what I mean? It is a machine at the end of the day. And if you're filling it full of shit fuel, then it's not going to run very well.
Yeah. And a big thing with nutrition and fitness really is that it's weirdly not something they teach you in school, which I think so weird, really. I don't think people need to know how many calories this or all the details, but just an idea of maybe what's better and what's not so good. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously people don't have a clue. A lot of people, when they want to diet now, they're like, well, cut out bread or cut out carbs. It's like, carbs ain't a problem.
Yeah.
The problem is you're eating too many of them. Do you know what I mean? Or you're eating, do you know what I mean? Or you're eating too much fat.
It's thing, isn't it? He's like, he's going, she's massively overweight.
Yeah.
And what do you eat? He's going, 5 chips and pies a day. He's going, why don't you try just having 4 or 3?
Yeah. You don't. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to. Like, everyone thinks that being healthier as well is like going to be such an unpleasant change.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of veg. The only time I love veg is when it's on like a cooked dinner, maybe in a stir fry or something. But I'm not someone who's sitting there eating all these healthy stuff all the time. I've just got a little bit of an understanding on food, which allows me to just make some more educated sort of choices. Do you know what I mean? Instead of thinking, oh, well, I got to lose weight now, that's cut out my carbs, or, cut out all my sugars, cut out all my carbs, I'm not going to eat potato, I'm not going to eat pasta. But then you end up with no energy. And if you've got no energy, you're going to feel shit. And also, your body is going to be wanting sugar because it wants a certain level of it. Your body's going to be putting out these vibes saying, we need some sugar. And you're going to end up craving. And then that's when people cave and they binge or they eat loads of chocolate or whatever. But it's because you're just going about it the wrong way. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You don't have to cut everything out. Just educate. Just look at it, literally type it on the internet and a million articles will tell you how to do it. Yeah,
you definitely got to get it right. Because I remember after we trained for a long time, we were like doing the thing where in bodybuilding where you bulk and you just eat loads of carbs and you try and fuel up, and then you cut and you cut out the carbs or whatever. And I was like cutting out, and I've got a fast metabolism, so we were going to the gym and I was flagging so badly. I was getting major headaches, felt super dizzy. It was so unhealthy. And like I found out later down the line that I've got low blood sugar. So like by doing that, I was literally just like putting myself in danger. Yeah, it's about balance at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, and like earlier you said something about like people want to go on a diet or something. And I think a lot of people don't even realise is the word you're saying there, diet, like a lot of people think a diet is a fat loss regime.
Yeah.
But it's not. A diet
is what you're eating.
Not, like if someone is eating terrible food and they're massively overweight, they're still on a diet.
Yeah.
It's just not a very good one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So stop with all this like, oh, I need to go on a diet and stuff. It's not about doing that. It's not about going on a diet. It's not about putting yourself into a lifestyle that you won't enjoy. It's about making some lifestyle choices that you can just continue on forever because you're not on anything. You're literally just living and thinking a little bit more responsibly about what you're putting in your body or how you're training your body and stuff like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's the way the world is now, because of people want to make money from dieting and fat loss and all this sort of stuff, you know? So they've created this thing, dieting, but it doesn't exist in a way. Do you know what I mean? It's like even calories, people are like, I'm worried about eating calories and stuff, but calories in a way is almost not a thing either. It almost doesn't exist, because a calorie is literally just the energy that is, but when you take in food, your body has to put out a certain amount of energy, get a certain amount of energy from that food and stuff, right? So if you're not putting out that energy, you got all this useless energy which has got nowhere to go. So your body's like, right, well, we'll store it for a rainy day.
Yeah.
And then you just store it as fats. Do you know what I mean? But you're not actually storing the calories. It's just you're not able to use those energy things up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, I think that's something people, if they just educate themselves a little bit on diets and stuff and nutrition, you'll realise on all sorts of stuff that you thought you knew. It's just not the case. And you will find that losing weight or feeling healthier is so much easier than you realise.
Yeah,
it just takes time. It's screw all this get abs in 6 weeks shit. Do you know what I mean? It's not the way it is.
Just change it up. Yeah. And the other thing as well, like just one more thing to say about nutrition, because I feel like this is like a science podcast.
I agree. It's gone on to nutrition.
But fats as well, they've been demonized. Like fats are bad. Like you see fat on the packet of a sandwich and it's like a big red thing.
Yeah.
And it's like avocado, which is like incredible for you. Do you know what I mean? You should be taking in a lot of fats as long as they're good.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't believe, what these packets say. You just do your own research. Yeah. Another thing I wanted to say about self-care as well, and this is something that isn't so obvious, but this is something that has helped me a lot when I felt down or in a dark place, is checking in on other people when you feel bad. And that doesn't necessarily mean like taking on other people's problems. It could just be a friend you haven't spoken to for a long time, and you just drop them a message and say, "Hey mate, been thinking about you. How's it going?" And then what you'll find is they're more likely to check in on you then, or just you have a conversation, and then instead of you sitting there wallowing, you're learning about your friend who you haven't spoken to for a while, or even just someone you see every day. Your mum might be in work or whatever, and you just text your mum and say, "Hi mum, love you," and then that's it. Like I've done that before. My mum's like, "You've literally made my day."
I was going to say the same thing. I did that as well. Yeah. Like years ago. Yeah, I did the same thing.
And it's like it's a wicked feeling.
Don't sweat the small stuff.
I haven't read it for a while,
because that's what I got it from. Yeah, it says like, just text mum, tell her you love her.
Yeah.
So I did, and my mum was like, "Oh, I needed that today."
Yeah.
I was like, "Good, I'm glad."
And it's so simple.
I was able to do that.
And that's self-care in the sense that you're taking care of the people around you, and so then you automatically feel good. And the feeling of knowing you've made someone's day from a text is so easy to do. Do you know what I mean? You literally don't even have to get out of bed for that.
Yeah.
So that, I would definitely recommend that.
Yeah, and again, it's taking you out of that zone that you might be in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're forcing yourself to do something different, to interact with someone else, you know what I mean? And also, we were saying earlier about we're social creatures, whether you want to be or not, we're kind of hardwired that way to be social creatures. And so being sociable, it does, again, increases your endorphins and makes you feel better. Even if you might be a bit like us, where you're a bit like hate small talk and stuff, it doesn't have to be about that. Don't ask something small talk. Ask if you know someone's into something or whatever. Maybe you don't really need help on something, but just message them and say, "Oh, I've been thinking about this. Do you know much about this?" Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't have thought that speaking to someone else is self-care, but it is, because it's looking after your best interests, which is being sociable, feeling good, getting out there. Do you know what I mean?
For sure. It's like looking after your circle, so that, you might feel shit now, but when you feel better and you're ready to socialize, then you've planted that seed then. Do you know what I mean? You've made that conversation happen earlier on. So even though maybe you don't want to tell them that you feel shit, you just want to kind of deal with it yourself, which is what I tend to do. But at least if you've messaged them, then when you're ready to socialize, you can go out for a beer or go for a walk. Do you know what I mean? And it's, that's a huge one for me, which I tend to, when I write my tick list the night before for the next morning, I'll write on there, text so-and-so. So that, because sometimes it just slips your mind. So I'll be like, message Aidan today, see how he's doing, and then I'll message him, and it's great then. So highly recommend that as part of your routine as well.
That's great. I think there's a lot of things here. I mean, we covered some topics more than others, but hopefully we've opened your eyes a little bit to what self-care can mean. Do you know what I mean? Because every little thing you do really comes down to self-care and whether you want to do something that's good for you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Even if, like I said, jumping on the PlayStation, but you feel good about it. Do you know what I mean? And you enjoy it. But if you're sitting on the PlayStation all day because you got fuck all else you want to do and stuff, then you got to take a look and think, is this in my best interest? Do you know what I mean? Am I taking care of myself here?
It's making sure if like the analogy I used earlier, if you were going to tell a friend what to do to look after themselves, apply the same thing to yourself.
Yeah.
Because you've got to put yourself first. And if you're in that bad place, hopefully this podcast has helped you out and given you a few little tips for getting out of bed.
Yeah. I know, we just imagine everyone's in bed.
I know.
Some people are just getting on with their business, but they just feel a bit unsure, a bit lost. But again, maybe all this stuff gives you a bit of direction.
Yeah.
Gives you something to crack on with and stops that bad cycle, because it might not be about to happen to you. But there's no way of knowing who's about to go into some little downwards fall and bad cycle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So catching that early on as well.
Definitely, man.
God, we're so wise. It's mad.
People listen to this going, that's a bollocks.
I know.
I'm never going to text my mum that. But yeah, if you are brand new around here, lads, thanks so much for listening. Make sure you press subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, give us a review. 5-star only. Otherwise, we'll come for you.
And also, by the time this probably comes out, I think we'll drop some information, maybe some posts regarding some of the stuff we talked about. So if you do need a little help with nutrition or exercise or morning routines, maybe we'll have something up. So that,
on our Instagram.
Do you know what I mean? On Instagram, exactly. And then you can go and check that out as well. And there might be some tips on there.
Yeah.
Instead of us just talking about it on the podcast all the time.
Yeah.
Fuck this podcast.
So don't worry about this podcast, is what James is saying. Don't listen to him. But yeah, until next time, lads.
Laters.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.